Very good. Okay, we got Jason Call with Handyman Web Design.
Yes, sir.
And, Jason's been referred to me as this person that I should have known for like the past few years. Like every time I tell somebody that I do web design or marketing, they're like, hey, do you know Jason Call? So I'm really glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and introduce people to yourself in terms of what you're doing with Handyman Web Design, and we'll start it from there.
Yeah. So my name is Jason, and handymanwebdesign.com is my main gig that was accidentally stumbled upon. Like you mentioned, I started locally, just web design, digital marketing, just learning that whole world. Helped out a really good friend of mine, Alan Lee, which was on the show a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And he's a handyman business for the people watching. And after helping him with like super basic marketing, website, super basic digital marketing advice,
Not going too deep.
Yeah, not going too deep. Google My Business, social media, website. He just blew up, and it was awesome to see because he just loves it. Like he's a great business owner, and he shows up and he's got a good heart to like help people. And so really like seeing his passion and what he was doing as a handyman. And then I realized how underserved that whole market was. And so after just doing some research, I realized that nobody is, from a marketing perspective, targeting and serving the handyman industry.
Right.
So hence handymanwebdesign.com was available, and it was born that very second. And so it just started with website design and hosting. I really started investing and putting a lot of energy into it around October 2018.
Okay.
So
we're almost 2 years deep
almost coming up on 2 years deep. And just recently, within the last month, I started offering more services that make sense to go with websites. So I had customers that they'd ask me, like, hey, man, I really love the website. I'm getting great results. Like, I've heard about Google advertising. I've heard about SEO. I've heard about Facebook ads. And, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And can you help me with that? And because the nature of the business is more like serving a mass that is the same, I was not prepared to offer that service at that scale. And so I would tell people like, no, I can't help you right now. And then I had so many people like turn over because as you guys know, being in marketing, it makes sense to have everything under one hood. So website, your advertising. So I was losing customers because their marketing was working from like the organic marketing with the website and just them hustling on social media, getting reviews on Google.
Right.
And so I was losing customers. Like, man, I really got to like crack the code, put the system together to be able to offer this. And so just this last month, started offering lead generation and ongoing SEO. So more of like transformed from just web design, hosting for handyman and remodeling contractors to a marketing agency. So if they come to us, then they can just have their whole online marketing cohesive, put together, and working for them. So that is what it is now.
That's, how do I explain this well? There's a lot of handyman, and even like, would you take like, I'm sure you take general contractors too.
Yeah. So probably about like 10% of our customers are just general contractors or remodeling contractors.
I feel like there's a lot of them in our area. But before we started recording, I'd heard you discussing how it's not necessarily local though. The way you're putting yourself out to the world as Handyman Web Design is basically any handyman or contractor rather than just targeting local people. Because we've had people before we integrated our marketing and web design services into Auburn Business Ventures, we were in that whole conundrum of which niche do we choose to serve. And so many times it was recommended, why don't you do contractors, because they're so not in that world of digital marketing.
Most definitely. And
so like you said it's an underserved market. And so we were like just at that point where we were about to start choosing a niche to try to go in on, and then we were like, wait a minute, we don't even want to do it this way. We want to grow Auburn Business Ventures and offer just internal marketing services locally through that. I guess I kind of lost my train of thought, but it's great that you exist because
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's where
So
I
is
was.
my wife.
Yeah, yeah. It's great that you exist because, like you said, if somebody's underserved, that's a huge opportunity for both of you.
Yeah, yeah. That's a comment I frequently get is like, hey, I really love that this is like my business is what you focus on. So in some cases, like, I mean, I know their business, certainly from a marketing perspective, better than they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that was awesome to experience. And whenever I really kind of realized that, like, wow, I can provide, like, I'm a top provider for, if you're a handyman service remodeling contractor, you could look up anybody in the country and I'd be in the top list of providers who
Right.
are your best option.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just a great feeling to have, just like personally, being able to serve people like that. And yeah, as far as like locally, like I've got a couple people locally, but right now we're in like 35 states.
Mm-hmm.
Couple in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So we're representing the North a little bit,
Up
which is
north,
cool. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Justin Osh if you ever watch this. It's my man up in Canada.
Justin Osh.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just awesome, man, to be able to like meet these people.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's this guy, his name is Steve, and he's kind of a newer customer, and he's in Maui. And we just hit it off. And I've had so many customers, we just get along, you know.
Right.
And he's just become a friend. Like he's a customer, and we're running Google ads for him, and you know, have that professional side, but also, you know, because I really know his business, right? I can really talk shop with these guys. You know, I'm a marketer and design their websites, but like I know what the handyman goes through, right? I know like the tough spots,
Right.
just the intricacies that you'd only know being in that position. And so
Being
to
able
kind
to
of like
focus on it,
share
yeah.
that with people, it's been cool to see how that can spark a relationship.
Right.
With someone that I've never met this guy, but you know, he's like, man, when you guys come to Maui, like you guys are staying with us and I'm going to hook you up. Like I got all these places that we can go.
Part of
and
the
like,
Ohana.
yeah. And it's just like pinch me, man. Like,
It's cool that
it's
it
really
can
cool.
spark that, and I think it's it's because you have a deep understanding of their position, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you understand, and then like if somebody understands you, it kind of makes you your friend.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's like connection, you know, kind of like happens over just shared knowledge, shared viewpoints, shared experiences. So, having that understanding of my customer, it certainly like facilitates a really natural relationship. Like you were talking earlier about creating Auburn business ventures. Nurturing those relationships, giving people a space, it kind of like opens up that relationship where there is less of that like traditional like sales process. And in a way, there's almost, it certainly depends on the customer that, you know, they have questions and everything, of course, before hiring somebody, but having the reputation, the experience within one industry and having verifiable results for very similar customers, it breaks down a lot of those sales barriers and makes it easier to spark that relationship. Like I have some people call me and it's like, hey, I've seen some videos of you and Honestly Handyman, and I've read through your website. Like I'm going to hire you, and I was just calling to let you know.
So he's a perfect case study for you. That's probably like one really important factor is like you with Alan, he's your superstar testimonial.
Most definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like killing it on YouTube. You know, in other places, but I mean, that's just one for some reason. It stands out in my head that he has a good or successful YouTube channel.
He's killing the YouTube game. He's got like 25,000 subscribers.
That's like, it's so, it's for a handyman too, you know, it's like, that's a good spot for him to be in. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm sure he's getting hit up all the time. Hey, where do I learn how to do this X, Y, and Z marketing for? And he is probably just like, look, I work with a guy named Jason, and you know, I'm sure that he's like a huge like funnel like for you.
Yeah. So
an advocate.
It kind of leads to a bigger point of like how I deal with customers. So every single person I talk to, I treat them and give them service like they are an influencer with hundreds of thousands of YouTube followers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you treat people like that, genuinely, they're going to share your name willingly with their network, certainly with people that like I can serve. And so
like elevating them publicly. Is that what you're
like shouting me out?
Yeah.
So honestly, obviously he started from nothing. Like his first YouTube video, I remember it because he was like in his truck, selfie mode, like he was like getting lunch or in the parking lot somewhere, and it was
something.
rough, but he did it, and now look what it's turned into. So yeah, influencer marketing has been huge, but I don't define influencer marketing as like finding influencers, like the general term for influencer marketing. I think everyone should be doing influencer marketing and treating every single person as an influencer.
Right.
So yeah, about like a third of the growth in the business has come from, honestly, in the handyman journey.
Dude, that's
another third has come from my business being tossed around in like probably half a dozen different Facebook groups for contractors. From customers I serve, and they're in these groups with other contractors, and they're like, hey, Jason Call, he's the man, like, great dude. He's helped me out a ton. Hit him up. So, and then the other third would be SEO. So just the lack of, people actually targeting it on their website and ranking for the keywords that people are searching for. Yeah. So treating people right is 2/3 of my business. And so the case studies are huge too.
I can imagine like the value of the backlink. Okay. So fair warning, everybody, this might get a little bit nerdy for the average person, but it's not, for Jason, it's not.
I love it.
Yeah, it's just like base level.
I love it.
But I was just going to start to talk about the value of the backlinks from all your customers with the concept of if you're also doing their Google listing, right? So not everybody knows how to properly set up a Google listing, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, if you're doing it for them, all of your customers, let's say you build them a website and you also stand up their Google listing, you link them, and then you have a backlink to your Handyman Web Design.com, right? Your own website. Like the power of those backlinks is like Google knows what all of those businesses are because their Google listing was set up correctly. Yeah. And when Google starts to recognize that all of the same types of businesses are linking back to one guy being you, it's like that's like how one of the ways like Google identifies like relevance. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, you hit it on the head, like where, like if I am a handyman business and I have a link from my local hardware store, there's some relevancy there because Google knows that they're a hardware store and the industries are related. There's tools, there's, it's related to home repair in a way. Whereas if I'm a handyman business and I had a link from a restaurant, the power there is just there's not a whole lot of weight that link's going to carry. In some like drastic cases you can be penalized if Handyman Web Design has a link from a French fashion blog, because people go out there and they buy
they buy links.
They buy links from bad providers. So in my case, certainly
I was just trying to speak to the power of the niche.
Yeah.
That's really what I was trying to get
Whereas
at.
compared to a general marketing agency, they have links from all kinds of businesses, and search engines can't really do much with that without, and even still, like moving from today and even moving forward, the actual anchor text of a link. So, anchor text, just to explain to everyone watching, there's a link in a web page and it says handymanwebdesign.com and it's linked to my website. That's the anchor text. It could be, this company does handyman website design, and that could be all linked. That's the anchor text. So, what was I about to say? Oh yeah. So anchor text is actually becoming less relevant. Google is putting less weight on the actual anchor text, which general marketing agencies, here's the tie-in. General marketing agencies, it says like web design by like Placer Digital. That's what I would do. That anchor text can indicate to search engines like, oh, website designed by this company, and there's all these industries that link to this. But because anchor text becoming less relevant, then I think there's an argument to be made that, links from client sites is going to become less, it's not going to be too important.
Right. And the whole phasing out of, what are we in 2020 right now? Like there was a power game in like pre-2010 with like rudimentary SEO, like link farming, like
It was dirty.
yeah.
I've only read articles. I wasn't in the game, but it was dirty.
LA says it was stank of dirty. But yeah, these companies like Google, you know, they're and even like social media platforms, they're acknowledging that there's like a lot of bots floating around, and they're now like adjusting their algorithms to make it so that bots aren't as effective. And you know, I mean, this is all super general, and I'm not being too specific on anything, but it makes sense these days to do digital marketing, but with a really pointed, relevant focus, and that is, I the word I use is wholesome, but what I'm really trying to say is, if you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, you're trying to grow your network, it's like do it with a purpose. Don't only rely on like bulk numbering, like volume of outreach, you know, like make sure you're actually relevant and make sure you're actually adding value.
Yeah. And it kind of, to me, it like points to the major reason of why like digital marketing is great to get into if you enjoy it, if it's your passion and you're good at it, underscoring good at it, is that it's constantly changing all the time. And so just because someone's new and they don't have, you know, decades of experience in an office, which really just is going to mean they're totally overloaded in expenses, you know, and employees that are doing just tasks and processes that are no longer relevant. Because even my workflow a year ago totally transformed where it is today because of new like plugins for WordPress,
Right.
Different systems I found to make things more efficient. And so, you know, I empathize though with some of the bigger agencies out there, like locally, certainly, that kind of cap out at that 10 to 20 employee mark, because it just gets too bloated and inefficient, because digital marketing is constantly changing and evolving, and there's so many more efficient ways to do things all the time.
Yeah. I mean, every time I get targeted with, all sorts of nonsense, but a lot of which is like software, which isn't nonsense necessarily, but you know, get targeted by Elementor, get targeted by,
love Elementor.
You know what I mean? Like anything like that, like any software as a service, you know, it's like, it's going to be in my feeds.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's, I don't know. That was just like a tangent I went off on. I don't really know how to get back from that, but
we're stuck, man. Here we are, lost in the podcast.
What about like, how did you decide to start a business, and what was that journey like?
Yeah, man, I basically loved the people I worked with. I worked in finance. I worked at a community bank and was a marketing analyst. So I crunched a ton of data from website to social media to different ad campaigns, print ad campaigns, all kinds of stuff, and created reports for all kinds of levels of management.
Right.
Also lots of other mundane tasks that didn't matter because that's the way it is in a couple hundred employee company. But anyway, that job ate my soul.
Right.
Basically. I mean, I said, I love the people, love the relationships, but I didn't feel fulfilled. And I learned that I could not be CEO by 35 and learned the restrictions of corporate life. And I want to be a leader. I wanted to kind of
steer the ship.
Yeah, I want to steer the ship. I knew what the bank should have done and what marketing strategy should have been employed. I did not get the marketing manager position when it opened up.
Right.
And it was kind of like, man, like I could do this.
Right.
But because I didn't have, I didn't check the boxes
the bullet points.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of just wore me down. And my education was in economics and marketing, which I chose because economics is fascinating. It's basically the science of decision making. Marketing is the science of how to make somebody make a decision that you want them to make.
Right.
And so marketing was kind of always something I was fascinated by, and I didn't know website design. So I recognized that, looking at businesses locally, it's like, man, their websites are awful.
It's rough. You guys, it's really rough out there. It's a dark, bleak landscape.
Yeah. And it's gotten a little bit better with, Squarespace is pretty rad. And not a big fan of Wix, but
Right.
you know, it's made it a little easier for the regular small business owner to get up and have something that's decent. But anyway, so I recognized web design as a good like entry point, and then created a basic service level package that would be valuable to a regular small business.
Right.
And I left my job with $0 coming in. I paid a business coach every month, so I was negative X dollars. I had to make a certain amount after 6 months, or else I was going to have to figure it out and find another job somewhere.
So you went in pretty bluntly.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but
I dove right in.
you also went straight with the launching with a business, well, launching your efforts at least with a business coach. And how do you think that affected the effort?
It was huge. Shout out to Michael Oakes, Sundance Coaching. I saw, it's funny how it all kind of comes together, but I left my job. We just bought our first house, like 6 months before. So, you know, when you look at the paper, it's like, what is this guy doing? It's really stupid. Like, I mean, my mom, she was like, well, he's employable. You know, like that's something all entrepreneurs face, right?
Right. Their mom talking about, hey, well, you could always get a job. You're like, God damn, I never want to go back to that again. Don't even act like it's an option, please.
So, like, no matter what you do when you start it, people are not going to see your vision. Like,
right.
It's just the way it is. It's something that is good to learn early on, is that you're not going to get the love and support when you start something new, no matter what it is. Like, no one's going to see it until you prove it, and they're like, oh, wow, that's so great. So
and then you're like, damn it, I've been trying to get this into your head.
Yeah, and, you know, if you're doing it for the right reasons, then, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's all going to work out if you work hard at it. But so anyway, bought our first house. 6 months later, left my job. Then my wife has a super expensive car repair, so we're in this auto shop, and I'm thumbing through business cards, you know, just like, man, I gotta call people, like I gotta be like, hey, what do you need? You know? Like, what do you need, man? I could graphic design, yeah, I know Canva. I mean, yeah, I'm a graphic designer.
Canva.
So I found Michael Oakes, Sundance Coaching, his business card, and I was like, you know, I could use some help. I don't know anything about business, so. Called him.
Whose shop were you in? Were you in Wayne's shop?
I didn't know. This was pre Wayne.
Pre Wayne days.
Yeah, Auburn Auto Doctors. That's the place. Anyway, so Michael Oakes was huge. Yeah, the business coach. Because created accountability. And I had a honest voice to give me feedback on what I was putting out there.
Yeah.
And my pricing, and building my confidence too of, like, sales discussions. Like, I'd never had a sales discussion in my entire life. And so you got this business coach that's in front of you, and he's good at what he does. So he's like, so why should I pay you for this?
Oh, just straight to the nuts.
Yeah, just like, bam, just right there. But that's like great to have. And so certainly that was monumental. And he knew lots of people. So, you know, once I kind of built up that service package, he was able to help me generate leads too, and encourage me to join the Chamber of Commerce. So every new business, I mean, you got to join like the local chamber, no matter what people's viewpoints are on their own Chamber of Commerce. Some are more modern than others.
Get in it.
It is where you have to go, because it is the lifeblood of the business community wherever you are. And if you're starting a local business, they will support you. So that was huge too, that Michael, business coach, encouraged me to join. And after hustling through that for, you know, it took about 6 months to kind of really get things going. And then it's like, all right, cool. I don't have to get a job somewhere. I just got to figure out how to do this now.
It was intense for a little bit, but then the weight came off your shoulders, and that's hey, if you can do that, man, like, I feel like there's a million ways to make that transition, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you really got to do whatever's right for you. Like, if your soul is being sucked straight out of you, you just have to, if at all possible. Like, do you have kids?
Nope.
No. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't imagine being in that position with, like, the overhead being family that I have.
Yeah.
That would be like, good Lord.
Yeah. Everyone's on their own path, man.
Yeah.
And I do know that you can make it work. Like, it's just a different way than, you know, what other people do. But you know, there's a need for so many things. I think it was even like Alan is always saying, like, you can start a business. Like, there's so much need for all kinds of stuff. Like, figure out what people need, and
that abundance mindset is like,
it's huge.
It's infinite.
Yeah. It is a big part, because mean, something I learned early on was the importance of personal care and kind of just optimizing your day, like waking up at the right time, filling yourself with good stuff. And so then come like 8 o'clock and you've gotten more done in the last 3 hours that most people get done an entire week. Like you're there at 8 o'clock when the day's starting. It's like, man, let's get to it, So
what's up, players? I'm here.
Yeah. It is like an abundance mindset of just, it all starts there. Cause if that's your mindset, then you can do a sales call so easily. You can create a new product. You can create a website super easily because you're just like in the zone, you know?
Yeah, the abundance. I feel like back to like I'm actually going to touch back on when you were talking about transitioning into entrepreneurship, and you mentioned like a 6-month like general. Hey, if it doesn't work in 6 months, something's going to have to give, and I'll have to maybe try again later or something. Yeah. And obviously, you didn't have to pull that card. It worked out first time around. It sounds like.
Yeah. It was actually pretty amazing because it was about Christmas time, and I had 2 months to get to the goal. And then we have 2 dogs, which, we don't have any kids, so they're kind of important to us. Yeah. And so we had some major vet bills, and it kind of like shortened the time frame. And it was the week between small business and week between Christmas and New Year's Eve. It's like the most dead time for small businesses, right? Everybody checks out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like,
almost December.
Everybody stops.
In general.
Yes.
December's a
so
dead zone out
man.
there.
I love it. Like small businesses, they just like totally kick back and let things kind of roll. But so it's a super dead time, right? I have all these expenses. My time just shortened to like, I might have to get a job next month in January. I got to figure it out. And it was like, it was just amazing, man. Like a couple like big jobs came through in that week between Christmas and New Year's Eve, and
highly unusual.
And it was like, it was something else, man. And from there, it just kind of sparked, and I hit the ground running in 2018. That was, and
started flying.
Yeah,
it's funny. I hear a lot of it recently. At least I've talked to a lot of people who, in their story, mentioned that they set up themselves a 6-month. If it works, great. If it doesn't,
Yeah, I mean, it's been a couple of conversations, not just on the podcast, but other business owners we've been hanging out with, and it's like, yeah, I jumped in, and I got 3 months left, and if in one particular case, it's like, if it doesn't work, I'm selling the company. I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of drastic, but all right, I wonder what's.
And I know who you're talking about, and in that case, it would be selling the idea and the concept.
Right. Yeah.
But everybody has their own way of transitioning in, and I so what I'm hearing from you is like everybody has the part of the story where they died and had to like recreate themselves, right? And which is usually the beginning of their entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely like I can think of like just a handful of pretty key like. Drastic moments, but that's kind of what it takes because whenever you're like in that moment, like that's what can define your future because you can either be a victim of it or you can, get out there, pick yourself up and go make things happen to meet your goals.
But even now, like you, in your story, as part of your entrepreneurship journey, like you're somewhere in version 2 where it's like, yeah, you started locally and then you picked a niche and then now you're going hard on the niche. In the handyman, and it's like to me it's like even though you're doing the same general thing like with like Jose we were just talking to, he started doing I think with houses and then he moved to doing only commercial. And even before he was successful doing either of those, he had started to try to build the cleaning business, and he told the story of how it just like kind of all fatally crashed like because of like a lack of employee training. And so things crumbled pretty hard, pretty quick. And then, but he like rebuilt it and resurrected it up. I was like, wow, that was an awesome story, and now he grew from that and has this great mindset of like, yeah, I don't really move forward without a plan anymore. And he's kind of just like a precise move maker, and I like, he's like, every time he asks us a question, like, how do you do this or that? And like, oh yeah, we use this software, that's what, and he's like writing it down in his notes, and I'm like, that's powerful right there. Like that's how you level up.
Yeah. I mean, all the tools that are available out there are certainly like having like insight into those. Like I just met with someone that's wanting to start like a niche web design business, and so I just kind of gave her the full scoop of like my tool set and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards, the person that connected us was like, man, I could have sold that for a good amount of money, because it took me like, 2.5 years to learn all of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's why-
being connected with the right people is important to learn. And that's something that, I've done in some level throughout this whole journey. Lately, I started connecting with people within like the industry of successful marketing agencies and learning what they do.
Oh, nice.
And so that's been a big game changer for me in the last 3 months, which really encouraged this whole expansion of, like stepping up from just web design and hosting for, my niche to, going for it and providing like incredible value to people. But it was inspiration and also guidance and mentoring from people that are just out there like
crushing it.
Just killing the game, man. But they impart, when you connect with those people, they want to help people that have a good heart to do it, right? They're not just out there to make a ton of money. Like they're out there to provide value to people and to do good work for people better than others can do it. So from what I found, people that are successful in their area, like they want to help you. And so seeking that help, though, it takes that like humble heart of like reaching out and being like, hey man, this is where I'm at, and like I would love to have a conversation with you. Like I've sent out those messages in the last 3 months.
It can be powerful though.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been huge.
A lot of times when you all just lay it all out there.
Yeah.
Just here's all the cards. I'm not holding anything back. Here it is. It's just like an instant way to build trust.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, what are you gonna like? I'm not really afraid of what you think. I just need you to know where I'm at. And then, it's not only does it build trust, but it gives them tools to work with you.
Yeah, and it kind of touches on what we mentioned earlier about, when you have a matchup of experiences, like someone that is just super successful as a marketing agency, like there's people that target like concrete contractors, like super niche, right, in the construction field, plumbers, all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen.
Like
I get somebody's targeting me for
7-figure agency. Josh.
Oh no, yeah, I've gotten
plumber SEO.
I know. I'm getting targeted for there was a plumber one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I'm not a plumber. Anyway, and then there was this other one where it's like, it's that I'm getting in my feed is recession proof moving company. I'm like, dude, why are you like, how am I being targeted? Like, how vague are you running your target on Facebook? You know, like, are you just saying business owners? So anybody who's a business owner is going to want to learn. I don't know how I'm ending up with this ad, but it keeps showing up. And so I have to go in there and be like, not interested. So it doesn't show up anymore.
Oh, you're doing him a solid. You're a good
I'm doing
guy.
the guy. I'm doing him a favor. Like I'm not.
Saved him some pennies.
It's like when competition clicks on your Google ads to try to burn you out.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know how rampant of a practice that is, but I imagine that people partake in that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, it's super prominent for highly competitive home services like HVAC, plumbers.
Dude.
Yeah, because they all know each other and they all like. It's not really a friendly industry of like, oh, we can't help you with your AC, replacement, but I know this awesome other company in town. Like, I don't think there is that. So there is lots of ad clicking, and there's ways to combat it. But anyway, that's a whole different thing.
What so far? Okay, so I'll just ask you something kind of more fun. Like, what's your favorite? In this might, if there's any handyman listening, this could be like a bit of value that convinces you that like you should hit up Jason. But what's your favorite like method? Because there's a million ways to do marketing, but what's like one of your favorite things to deploy on behalf of like one of your clients? So a marketing method for a handyman, like it might be YouTube, it might be actually I really like setting up funnels with Instagram being the wide end. Yeah. I mean, is there anything that you find not necessarily is the most effective, but anything that you like maybe enjoy doing the most?
Yeah. So I will tell you 100% confidence. The most effective is having an effective website with a Google search campaign set up to generate leads.
Pay-per-click.
Yep. You can scale a handyman business by just doing that
Mhm.
and making tons of money. And then at that point, you can start to spread your budget from Google Ads to Facebook, SEO, other stuff. But you could scale that budget past like, I mean, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month before you even have to think about doing anything else, because it's just an industry where the people that search for home services, they're already pre-qualified that they have a need because they're looking for, handyman services near me. Boom.
Right.
They
I
have
need
a
somebody
need,
to put up a fan.
and they are also pre-qualified they're looking for someone to hire right now. They're not looking for sofas that they're considering about purchasing.
Yeah, they're not shopping.
They have
so
something
much.
that's broken and they need it fixed, man. And so that's why Google Ads most effective. My favorite thing.
That's a good
to
1-2
do-
punch, though. Just Google Ad, solid website.
Yeah.
Google Ad, solid website.
Yeah.
Simple funnel.
It really is simple. I mean, it has to be done right, obviously, which is how I have a business.
Yeah,
But,
hire a pro. Hire Jason.
you could slap something together and be doing okay, I guess.
Sure. But why do okay but not kick ass?
Yeah, at a point, you gotta have that recognition of outsourcing. But my favorite thing is I love the actual like website design part. Like I love delivering the website
And having them be like,
and then being like, whoa, like
Mhm.
I love getting that feedback of like, wow, this is so awesome. This is like way better than I ever imagined this looking, because
Right.
my prices are super affordable because I have everything systematized where I can do it very efficiently.
Right.
So when people spend like $200 for a landing page, I have samples. They can see the quality, but
Right.
still every time I deliver, they're like, oh man, like that looks great. And so
Did you expect it not to be great?
well, just like overly,
Yeah.
like exceeding expectation is like something that businesses should, successful businesses do on a regular basis. So getting that feedback is awesome. And then what I've been learning lately, since really ramping up on the Google ads for people, is like this guy, Steve in Maui. Shout out to Steve if he watches this. I hope he will. And he called me. I started running his Google ad campaign, and he calls me after like 4 days. I started on a Friday. He calls me on Monday. He's like, man, I don't know what kind of magic you're doing, but like my phone's ringing and I've got website leads. And I was like, dude, that's so awesome. Like, but just hearing, that's the goal, and it pretty much, it works. But just hearing that from people, and it's meeting, like they are at this point where they envision having leads and they envision their business doing well and getting phone calls. And whenever like my services can help them like achieve that, and there's this connection there where he like connects it with me, and he thanks me, and it's just like, it's just a really like humbling, like great experience to have on a regular basis. And I just man,
that
I love
level
it.
of being stoked.
Yeah, I love when people are stoked about my service to them, because that's like my goal. I want them to be super stoked.
Right.
I don't have that on my website, but my goal, handymanwebdesign.com, I want you to be super stoked.
Yeah. Based in California.
Yeah, that doesn't go well for some people, but yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, you. Oh man, how deep are we in this thing, man?
40 minutes. We got a little bit of time still.
Nice.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we could do like another solid 10-20 minutes and be like reasonable still.
Yeah, I got a couple hours,
Yeah. You got any other good questions, Charles?
Trying to think real quick. On a marketing aspect, like what should somebody expect to? What kind of effort would somebody expect to put into like a Google Ads campaign? Where how many, what level of visits would they expect to get before they start seeing like a turnaround or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so that, I mean, it highly depends. I mean, looking at like home services, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty quick. So I guess let me just use a specific example. So if you're a one-person handyman business, and that's where you're starting, I recommend a minimum $300 a month in ad budget for Google. And that's what I did for Steven, Maui Steve, as my wife calls him. Maui Steve. He started getting results right away. It really depends on how the campaign is set up. So if you are not using automated bidding within Google Ads, which is way going to be over the scope of what people probably want to hear. But
Right.
if you do manual bidding, like Google will just start firing off right away, like your ads based on like the specifications you put into the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
If it's set up through, more automated, then there's like a learning phase. And it's highly dependent upon the ad copy and the landing page and how fast it loads. And if there's a big old nice form right there when someone lands, it says, hire the #1 trusted, marketing firm in Auburn. And then it's
Get
like,
info
oh,
now.
really? I just have to do this? And, it autofills my information because my phone is creepy? Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's lots of factors, but the beauty of Google Ads is that you can see results right away. And not only Google Ads are set up to generate leads, most Google Ad campaigns, but there's also this SEO component because you're driving traffic to your website. And if it's built well, people are going to stay on there, and you're going to improve you're going to see great, what I call behavioral metrics. So time on site, super low bounce rate, average pages viewed per user, which Google wants to see because their job is to serve great results.
Make sure they're relevant to the people.
Yeah, and so, it's, of course, you set up a Google Ad campaign, people want leads, but you are also giving them SEO value because you're driving traffic to the website, and that's something that you need to increase your SEOs.
I find myself more and more in talking about a potential agreement with a client, explaining those auxiliary benefits that you're not necessarily, like, you might be able to quantify some of them. In other words, you might be able to say, well, ever since we started doing this campaign, your ranking has you've gone up 2 spots. Like, you could show that, but before you go into that effort, it's like, I can't really quantify it, but I'm going to explain to you the side value, and how this relates to other, like, so you're getting the benefit of SEO even though you're just doing pay-per-click. So I find myself doing that more, and it's becoming helpful. Like, we're still, every day I'm learning how to sell better. Because a lot of times in this industry, I find that the potential client sometimes doesn't even understand what's possible in digital marketing. Or like recently, I spoke to somebody who was wanting some internet marketing. That's like the way they're thinking about, like, marketing on the internet, and like, they were thinking of it as like posting things on Craigslist and other platforms, just like static posts. In other words, if somebody is specifically seeking that out, they perhaps might find it, but not like actual, like, active marketing where they're either building brand in the meantime, or putting some bait out there, in other words. And I was like, so part of the conversation was like, wait a minute, you didn't know that you can, like, market on social media? And it was like, they just weren't like a social media user, so they didn't even understand that there's a whole opportunity to market a business on social media.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm trying not to make assumptions about my clients anymore, and maybe they don't know where all the opportunities are.
Yeah, and that's to me, everything changed whenever I created a package. You tell people what they need, because the options are limitless. And if you know someone's industry, you can pretty much pin down like what they need, and you can tell them. Because that is a problem. Being like a marketing service is, you get questions about all kinds of different marketing platforms. Like, oh, I heard Pinterest is good. It's like, if you're selling home decor, but you fix air conditioners. Just an arbitrary example. So like, it's different based on the industry, but people are lost, and rightfully so, because there's so much information. There's so many experts out there that are trying to sell them on different ways of doing things, and it's hard to find a trusted voice that can give you solid guidance on what you should do for your unique situation. Yeah,
like, let me actually look at you as an individual business and your specific needs. It's very important. If they're not, if you're out there and you're talking to somebody to do marketing for you, and they're not asking you about like your specific business or trying to gather anything, and they're not already, like Jason, a specific industry specialist, you should have a little bit of a red flag there. Like, if they're being super general about everything. Yeah,
and most people too, most local people I've worked with, they've been burned before, like multiple times, and so Unfortunately, it's kind of a common thing, and I think it's because the mass amount of information and how easy it is to mislead somebody, and how easy it is for the consumer to think like, oh, I've heard about that, so yeah, let me do that, or I don't even know what metrics I need to see to verify they're doing a great result. So, yeah, there's just so much out there. Obviously, like what people want to see certainly in home services industries is like, how much did I pay and how many leads came from it?
Right.
And so being able to effectively communicate that is, kind of a must for my specific situation.
Sure.
At least.
Sure. That's awesome, man. Where would you like to grow this thing into? Was this something you'd like to kind of like put on cruise control to where it's like you're not super concerned with growing it massively and you just get it to a point where you like it? Or do you have like a vision beyond what it is now that you'd like to move towards?
Yeah. So up until like 3 or 4 months ago, it was probably at a coast level of like, I was comfortable. I was happy with the amount of leads come in and I was comfortable with what I was providing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going to be the number 1 marketing agency for handyman and remodeling contractors. So
right, so that's it.
It's already like the highest rated as amongst any competition that's remotely targeting that. I have more 5-star reviews, and so it's kind of set up to be that. And I just made the kind of active effort 3 or 4 months ago to pursue that, because really I'm missing on giving people value that they otherwise wouldn't have. They would be served not fully by somebody else, because whenever you're a specialist within industry, you just understand them and what they need, and you can know what they need and fulfill what they need. And whenever you're serving one industry too, you can create processes to become more efficient. Whereas if I'm working with an orthopedic surgeon and a lawyer, drastically different marketing programs, drastically different needs for a website, drastically different tools for scheduling, or there's regulations for what you can advertise for attorneys. And then you got HIPAA with the orthopedic surgeon. And so therefore it's just more time, so therefore a higher cost. So that is a benefit too of honing in on handyman remodeling contractors, is I can create these efficient systems and be able to offer a super affordable price for a very valuable service. So running the website service with a review generating system, automates getting reviews, a monthly report, and running a Google ad campaign is like $200 a month is my fee.
Folks, you can't beat that. I'm telling you right damn now.
And if you're not a remodeling contractor or handyman, please don't call me. I'm just kidding. I love you all. But like at that price, I can do that because
For them,
because I know exactly what needs to be done to make it work, and give them the results that they want and they deserve. And so that's an allure for me. So the goal is to become like, like if you're a handyman, I'd like for them to know about my company so that we can serve them. So
that's it.
It's going to be huge.
Lay down the law.
Yeah. Tell the people what they need.
That's right.
But really, you need. It's our job as marketers to tell people what they need, because they're paying us for a reason.
Right.
Because they don't know what to do. They know their business. They don't know how to market their business. So, yeah. So telling people what they need is important. So
it's good stuff, man. I think we should end it there. That was a lot of value there packed at the end. So thanks for being on the show. Fist bump. Bam.
Just tell everybody where you're located.
Yeah.
Where they can find you online.
Yeah. I'm located currently in Meadow Vista. My house is actually in Weimar. Let's see, handymanwebdesign.com. I make music, so Jason Call Music, jasoncall.com. placerdigital.com is my local marketing agency. If you're a home service, I can talk to you and see what's going on. That is me.
Jason Call, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. That was good.
Thanks, man.